Okay, everyone. This is Evangelist James Stell coming with you with the final episode of the course of communication. And this topic that we're going to be expounding on and thinking and talking about is called developing and keeping close and intimate relationships. Now, people that don't have that came out of broken homes, broken families, heartbroken, and stuff that didn't happen to them in the past, that may have broken a lot of communications. Sometimes we can develop, but I look at this, it says developing, ing. So that means to keep on developing, to continue on into it, developing, because developing can get tiring sometimes, especially if you had a lot of things that you tried to develop and they just crash and burn on you. So to continue to keep developing, and not just developing, but keeping. And keeping is a whole nother thing. Anybody can start a relationship or start something, but keeping on continuing through it, that takes a lot of consistency. It takes a lot of fortitude, takes a lot of stamina that sometimes we don't have, and maybe we need to get with somebody, and hopefully this teaching will help you in that. Close and intimate relationships. There's a lot of people in relationships that aren't even intimate due to communication flaws, due to communication breakdown, due to communication. What I say about communication before throughout the other 4 or 5 lessons, 4 lessons about how you communicate with yourself and not loving yourself, and how you gotta love your neighbor as you love yourself. Some of us, I hope that this show this whole entire series help you to realize how are you really communicating with yourself. So it says conflict in our close and intimate relationships and loneliness are big triggers for relapse and recidivism. And recidivism means going back to prison, or not even just physical prison, but even can go back to a mental prison that you were in. Also, it says there are big triggers for relapse, and relapse is going back into stuff that led us into bondage, maybe drugs and alcoholism or addictions. And remember, I said addiction is an outward attachment trying to fill an inward void. It'll try, but that void will never be filled. And so that's why they say you can drink 1,000 drinks and it'll never be enough, or do 1,000 things of dope and it'll never be enough. Because why? It's always trying. Addiction is, and it'll make you think you're fulfilled. But it says loneliness, and let me help you out with that. Loneliness, to be lonely. There are people in relationships that's married that's lonely. They don't feel like the communication skills are there. They don't feel like that they're being appreciated. They're lonely. Yeah, they're living with one another. They got married by the preacher. They've been together probably 10, 15, 20 years. But guess what? They're still lonely. I'm not saying that's you, but there are some. What's the proof of that? Divorce. Divorce is people that feel alone with one another and go back into selfish reasons and leave. So it says people who are lonely and who have relationship problems often seek a second family in all kind of associates, maybe drug or criminal, because why? They communicate with their insides a whole lot better than anybody else do. It says parts of good communication between people in intimate relationships is to deal openly even with sexual problems. You might even have sexual problems that go on, and it may be embarrassing. The man probably have issues with his libido down there, and they don't work, or got some malfunction on it. Sometimes medical issues can happen with that. But guess what? If he don't communicate with the person about, or a woman might have some issues about her body or sexuality. You need to talk about to your body, or even find an accountability partner. Yeah, it might be private, might seem private, but those things still affect you in such a way to where you cannot communicate right. And it'll lead you back into a bondage. And even biblically speaking, the Bible said, who the Son is set free, therefore is free indeed. And we've been cleared of any kind of bondage because of the blood of Jesus. Now, also, right here it says you may want to deal with this at a separate time or close, but you have to deal with it. Problems are there to be dealt with. So the objectives of session and key terms in this video is going to be looking at ways to improve closeness in our intimate partner relationship, understand the conflict between our needs for closeness and separateness, learn skills that keep a healthy family balanced between closeness and separateness in our intimate partners relationship. And the key words we need to be watching out for is enmeshment, separateness, and relationship balance. And we repeat that. The key words are enmeshment, separateness, and relationship balance. So, conflict between need for closeness and a need for separateness. It says we have a powerful need to be part of people, to belong, to share with others, to be close to someone. We also have a powerful need to be ourselves, to separate, different and unique. Society places more value on closeness. We are led to believe that closeness is what makes us okay. Think about it. Words of popular songs like "I can't live without you," "You're my whole life, without you I'm nothing." You know, those kind of things. Society always have us to the closeness, you know, and there's nothing wrong with being close, but the thing is that there has to be a balance there. So you sometimes you have to get alone. You know, they have things called the man cave. Get along and gather your thoughts, and so you can be able to communicate better at a lot of things. So you know what? Even with a famous psychologist named Abraham Maslow concluded that people have 5 basic needs in his hierarchy that he had on studying in his studies, and one is called physical needs. And what's physical needs? Physical needs are food, air, sleep, elimination, and water. Now, elimination means going to the bathroom. You got to go to the bathroom. No matter what, you can't keep that stuff in. You got to go to the bathroom. But those are physical needs that we need. Number 2, safety needs is what he has on here. Protection from danger and threat. And that's even with a woman. I can even tell you with women, the best thing they want to feel is secure. They don't care how much money you got. A real woman that want a complete wholeness. They want to feel secure. You can feel secure with a broke joker more than you can with a person that has billionaire status. Because guess what? A lot of them even go through divorces. And they have every monetary need met to mankind. But yet and still, they can even get divorced. It says so. Social needs. Next is number 3 is social needs. Friendship, acceptance, and love. Yes, we need acceptance. I know a lot of people say, I'm tough, I'm strong, I'm the strong advocate, power to the people, whoop the woo woo. But rejection hurts. And it can misconstrue all my communication up and draw to my own conclusion that I don't need to communicate with nobody. So friendship, yeah, even a friendship. But my friendship status, the one I personally go by, is in the Bible when Jesus said, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." If you have friends with you that do not know how to, that you for sure won't lay their life down to you in the heat of the battle, and just lay their life down for you, you need to realize and recognize and see if this is a friend or an associate. There is a difference from a friend and an associate. Some of us get messed up and booty hurt and toe all up because we be trying to make true friends out of people that are there, that God say is there for a season, and you are just an associate. And then we try to overstay their welcome or overstay our welcome when we're not supposed to. One thing I've learned even in biblical experiences and living this thing out is there's such thing as catch and release in a lot of people. In this walk, you got to catch some people, and then you got to know when to release, and you got to know when to release and quit trying to stay there when you're not supposed to be there over time. And yeah, it's not going to be popular to everybody's demand, because if people get attached and tied to flesh, and when they get attached to flesh, they don't want you to separate. But there are times when you have to, if you want to move up to the next level in life. So number 4, there are esteem needs, and esteem needs is talking about self-confidence, self-respect, and to be important. Let me repeat that. Esteem needs is self-confidence, self-respect, and to be important. How is your self-confidence level? I mean, really self-confidence, not I'm talking about the man in the mirror, not the things that you did, not the things that you do, not that what you're known for, not for your our status or your status or nicknames that people place you because of the things you do. But I'm talking about how do you actually really feel about your self-confidence with nothing and nobody else, no strings attached. How do you feel about you, the true, raw, butt-naked you? And self-respect and to be important. I know don't nobody want to feel like they're unimportant. That makes them feel bad. So you have to have esteem needs. All of these things help out in your communication and help you to keep developing and keeping close, intimate relationships. Intimacy. Intimacy is very important. Intimacy is very, very, very important. Intimacy is a sacrifice of everything that I need to help you become important as well. To be intimate with someone, meaning that you can match each other's thoughts. That's what's so important about being intimate, because you can know the person even beyond speaking communication. You know the individual so well that you can feel with him talking when they're not talking, how they feel. And you have enough sense not to offend when they don't feel like talking, and the other person has that same with you, and y'all know how to respect each other's point of views and know how to respect each other in the going through or the valley stages of a relationship. That's how you keep the relationship being close and intimate. So it says number 5 is self-actualization needs. A need, and that is to fulfill our talents and to bring out the very best from with us. Let me repeat that. Self-actualization needs is to fulfill our talents and to bring out the best, very best from within us. Do you feel like that you have the very best has been brought out of you yet? Do you feel like the best is yet to come? And if you feel like the best is yet to come, what's the hold up? Is it God the hold up, or you being the hold up from bringing the best from within yourself? That's a challenging thing, because that's just scary, going into different territory that you've never been in before. But you have to say no to fear, because in the Bible it says that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So that should tell you right there, fear and mind has a lot in common. You have to take the faith from your heart and override the fear that's coming in, that come in to kill, steal, destroy, and divide and conquer whatever, even your expectations, your joy in life, and you have to kill it. Because a relationship is like a person. It is. It's just like a person. It thinks, feels, acts. It has needs and wants. It fights to survive. It can give wonderful things to people, and it can also control and dominate and crush the individual. Now, this list tells us about 2 important needs, and check this out. Number 1 is to be loved and close to people, and 2, to be an individual with self-esteem, self-importance, and to develop the best within ourselves. Number 1, to be loved and close to people. Oh, there's a lot of people that feel like that love has done them so wrong. But you got to understand, sometimes with love, there's a lot of trial and error basis. Now, not the love that comes from God, but when you're dealing with people, love hurts sometimes. But you don't let it shipwreck or train wreck your future with other people because of the shipwrecks and the catastrophes that didn't happen in your life with other people. They're either going to be turned into stumbling blocks, depending on my perspective, faith or fear, or they're going to turn into stepping stones. The choice is on you to what they're going to be. So it says, when couples get angry or aggressive in relationships, they are not only trying to hurt the other person, they are striking out at the control of the relationship. Woo. You can't control in a relationship. That's not a good relationship. Anybody been in some controlling relationships? Tell me how that feel. Don't feel too good, do it? At all. Now, the stages of change of a relationship, we're going to go into that right now. It says healthy intimacy and closeness means keeping a balance between the needs of the relationship and the separateness needs of the person in that relationship. Now, here are the stages that most relationships go through to get to a balance. Number one, the first stage is what I said earlier, enmeshment. Enmeshment means, quote unquote, being swallowed up. And now listen to this. It means our need for closeness is so great that we allow relationships to swallow us up and we become enmeshed. First, we hold our relationship responsible for our okayness, then the beginning of enmeshment. Then we hold the other person and the relationship responsible for our not okayness. That deepens the enmeshment. So if you want to look at it, the enmeshment evolves around the word blame. Swallowing up. You not making me happy. You have a right to me. I don't care if you're in a relationship. You can be okay. Somebody got to be okay in a relationship. If the other person not okay, you got to be okay. And when you okay, and when the other person ain't okay, you have a right to be okay. Somebody got to have a right to be okay, or we gonna walk into a big old walking catastrophe. Right or wrong? I know some of y'all feeling me on this here right now, because I can feel the Holy Ghost telling me right now it's touching somebody. That deepens our enmeshment. One day we find we have lost our separateness and our individuality. Have you ever been into a relationship to where you lost your separateness? You forgot who you are because you've been so enmeshed and swallowed up in somebody else and wanting them to do for you. And not saying nothing wrong with people doing for you, but when they start taking over your identity and your character, and not by their choosing, but you allow it to happen, then because you putting all these expectations on somebody else to fulfill you, but then when they pull the rug, when it's time for the rug to get pulled out, and the only person fall is you, it hurts. But that's growing pains. That's growing from maturity, from being a youth and getting into maturity of going into a man or a woman or a lady. We can't go fishing. Examples, we can't go fishing, read the paper, or have lunch with a friend without the other person in the relationship saying, where you going? Huh? Jealousy. The relationship is in control. This stage is represented from as control. We seek relief from the control of enmeshment through work, sports, community events, or we drink with friends at the bar and get hooked up in more addiction. Have you noticed that it's saying right here, we go and do these other negative things behind where the issue didn't even involve the drugs, the alcohol, or the other addiction. It started with me. And once I could catch that right there in my thinking, like I said earlier in the very first episode, then I will be able to get hold of this whole thing. So now it says the eventual result is the second stage. So I hope you're getting this. That's enmeshment, the first stage. We're trying to get to a balance in this thing. Now the second stage is detachment. Quote unquote, throwing up the relationship. Your separateness is threatened. You feel stressed and controlled. You seek a temporary quote unquote divorce. And some people do it by drinking or being with friends to get separateness. The bar or addictions become my second home. You can quote unquote be yourself there. No pressures. You can get enmeshed. You can get to the point of saying where you like saying screw the relationship, I don't care. It works until you come to your senses and find you are just as enmeshed. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people try to escape through addictions and drugs and alcohol and habits. And when it's all when the hot air pop out of the balloon, it has to come down. You find out you still stuck at step one, because why? Remember what I said earlier? A problem is made to be dealt with. When we get mature, it's not made to be swept up under the rug. It's made to be dealt with. because somebody else is gonna need you're gonna need that information to deal with their problems. So now, next thing you know, you may seek a permanent separation or counseling to try to develop a better balance between total enmeshment and separateness. So, enmeshment and separateness. You might go through several relationships. Woo! You might go through a whole lot of relationships, especially if all these hard times we go through, I keep blaming and blaming and blaming somebody else and blaming the other individual. It's their fault. And you know, I had to mature that on my part because I was married once before. And I had to come to the point where the first of the divorce and all that, going through the grieving period of, you know, why stuff didn't work out, questioning why, anger, acceptance and all of that stuff. The main thing that God has showed me that I had to do was I had to accept where I went wrong, because there's two people in a relationship and two wrongs don't make a right, but there's two there, and I had to accept the part of where I failed as being the husband, being immature, making immature, selfish decisions. And guess what? I went through other different relationships, but I noticed this here out of my personal experiences that, dang, when things would go wrong in the next relationship, it was like hints telling me, I've been right here before, but I just don't know how to deal with it because I've never been taught how to deal with it. So guess what? I make the same decision of ducking my tail between my legs and running, and ducking between my tail between my legs and running, and ducking my tail between my legs and running, like an old dog that got hot water thrown on him or something. But then I had to come to the point, wait a minute, now I've been here before again, but now I'm starting to see this here thing at face value, that this is a test for me, and I can go to the next individual, the next relationship, and but until I deal with this situation right here, the next one I'm going to be starting at wherever I left off at, because this training session of life and getting along with people is about me. Yeah. So now, don't go through several relationships. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. And then plus you go through several relationships, you start get AIDS and getting gonorrhea and syphilis and hepatitis C and messing around, and it could cost you your life at one of them. So you need to, wait on the Lord. It's the best thing. It says, now, each time you seek separateness, however, this kind of relationship like this will not allow closeness to meet intimacy needs. Everybody needs intimacy needs in a relationship. In a relationship, a real relationship, you do. And me, when I was teaching a lot of young men that didn't really have home training, or a lot of fathers in their life, they need a father there for direction, serious validation, sternness, to be able to be not like a bad drill sergeant, but to bring accuracy there, direction and vision. They not there, so the mother would have to take over as a single parent to kind of fit the daddy's shoes. But a woman cannot teach a boy to be a man. She can give him hints on being a good gentleman, but not being a man. That comes from a man, just like a man can't teach a woman to be a lady. Another woman would have to teach her, school her on how to be a lady. I mean, not a lady, but a full-grown woman. I could give her examples on what not to do and go keep her. But when she hears it from another lady, there's a respect factor there that they're in the same gene and gender, and so there's not a they don't know what I'm talking about or they don't know what I'm feeling. It breaks down all excuses. You understand what I'm saying? So with that, when the males do that, then the woman, I find it when the daddy's not there, and the next thing you know, the role reverses as they get older, and because they're older and not irresponsible, or the mother has helped them through enablement and letting them get away with things because they are their only son or something. They don't want nothing bad to happen to them. Out of good deed, they do it, but it turns into bad results. Then next thing you know, they're looking for a woman to be their mama, to take care of them, because that's all they know. And so, ladies, don't look for a man that's looking for you to be their mama, and vice versa. Men don't look for women that want you to be their daddy. In a relationship, it's a husband and a wife, or a male and a female gender coming together to elevate. Ain't no elevation on trying to be somebody's daddy and mama. You will not get intimate closeness. It will turn into control, because when the other person wises up, they're going to feel like, well, I don't need all your information like that. You're not my daddy now. But that's how it started out. Yeah, I'm helping you out. I'm helping somebody out right now. I'm telling you. Third stage, balance or synthesis. The third set of circles is this here. It shows a balance. There is a separateness, and there is closeness. Closeness means we give up a part of ourselves. We can't always have it my way. There is a we. Check this out. Listen to this here. There is a we as well as an I and you in all healthy relationships. There are two people. There's a we and there's an I. You don't lose your identity of who you are in a relationship. You might like to go bike riding. She might like to go shopping. That's the two totally different things. You know, that's what a separateness. You might like to work on cars, and she might like to go do arts and crafts or something, you know. So we can't. There is a separateness there, and just because you don't get along with what she do, and that's where you respect each other's disagreements or strengths, and you'd be like, okay, go ahead and do your strength, and I'll do my strength on my time, and we still come together as one, and ain't no trouble. Just because your man don't want to go to the mall with you and look and go window shopping with you, that don't mean he no less than a man. Or because he not with you 24/7. Because then that starts enmeshment. Because it's like, what's the motivation of you wanting him or wanting him around that much? Is it control or really is it love? So here goes some tips for keeping a healthy closeness. Right now, 10 tips for keeping a healthy closeness. Number 1. Be proactive and active. Put energy into the relationship. Make things happen. Do your share of planning activities. Don't let the other individual do all the sharing. You put yours in. It's 100 and 100 relationship. It's 100 and 100 in this thing here. So put energy into the relationship. A relationship with no energy is going to be a dull relationship. And I don't like dull relationships. Make them laugh. Put some energy into it. Go do some things. Number 2, let your partner be proactive and active. What do I mean? It's to respect and support your partner's efforts to energize the relationship. Let your partner be proactive and active. Is to respect and support your partner's effort to energize a relationship. If she makes food at the house, she might not make food all that well, but you congratulate her that she tried to make the situation as comfortable as possible. You know, she ain't trying to kill you. She's trying to make you feel like a king. So ain't no use to, or vice versa, and throwing dirt and bones and that. It's not going to help the relationship none. And talking about, I sure wish she can get better. Well, when a person might be making baby steps forward to try and get better, and you throwing stones and putting dynamite and blowing up the plan, how is it ever going to work? You're going to be in a relationship where y'all fussing and fighting for 20 years and not appreciate each other's differences. So number 3, interact rather than react to what your partner does. What does that mean? Use active listening like we talked at the front. Active listening and active sharing What's the active listening? The active sharing is the I statement. I feel, I think, I feel, I need, I do or act. Examine those closely. And the active listening, what we talked about, eye contact, body posture, voice tone, body gestures, all of that is involved in that. All of that there. So yes, use all of that to interact. When you react instead of interact, you make your partner responsible rather than taking responsibility. So you take the weight of them, of what they're supposed to input into the relationship, and you take it all. And then guess what? When you bearing the burden, you ain't letting them grow. You ain't letting them grow. Because you playing Superman to the whole thing, or Superwoman. So yes, next is this here. Now at number 4, it said number 4, from 10 tips for keeping a healthy closeness. Number 4 is keeping a balance between closeness and separateness. And that explains, going into this category of be okay even when your partner is not okay. I talked about that, expound on that a little bit earlier. When you are not okay, let your partner be okay. Be safeguards, the self and the relationship. So don't fight and talk about, well, oh, you mad? Oh, you think you mad? Let me show you how I can get mad. I can get madder than you. Oh, I can go off more than you. No. That is not balanced. Some days it's going to be rough. And if you see the other person, two people getting mad and throwing stones at each other, guess what? You're killing the relationship. And guess what? It saves a lot of unnecessary I'm sorries. You know, you can use some I'm sorry for some real situations that's going to come up in life, instead of I'm sorry about trying to kill each other's joy, dreams, and direction and love for each other. Because people can get tired of hearing I'm sorry and forgiveness. So try to work a balance on that. When you're not okay, let your partner be okay. When your partner's not okay, one of y'all be the mature one and be okay. Both of y'all don't have to be not okay. So number 5 is always work for a win-win when working on settling conflicts. Always work for a win-win of settling conflicts. You hear what I said? Settling conflicts. Win-win attitude. How do I do that? Keep the focus on the problem, not on the other person. State the other person's side. Talk about yourself, not the other person. Use I messages, not you messages. Not you is blame again. Remember I said earlier, that's a bullet. Not you messages. After a conflict is resolved, be sure that each of you is better off. Agreement. Agree that the reason that y'all are talking is to come to a solution focus of win-win attitude. And if you don't come to an agreement on that, don't even get started in it. Okay, because you'll be wasting time. And then one know how to pull out. We know how one have enough common sense to pull out the fire instead of throwing gas on and then doing a suicide bombing mission on both of y'all. So number 6, it says help the other person be successful and celebrate that success. You hear when I said repeat number 6, help the other person be successful and celebrate that success. Don't be a hater because she's making more money than you. Don't be a hater because he knows more, knowledgeable about more stuff than you. Don't be a hater of the success, because there are some haters out there in the success. They don't want to see their other partner succeed. And this has a lot to do with some type of inward flaw in the communication of self. Help the other person be successful and celebrate that success. Number 7. Combine strengths for the good of each other and the relationship. Combine strengths. Not my strength is better than yours. Not a competition mode thing. But combine. Be proud of and profit from the other person's achievements. I'm sure if that person really loved you, he don't mind you leaning on their shoulder and being there. And not, you know, what attracted you to each other was the strength of your differences. Let me repeat that again. What attracted you to each other was the strength of your differences. So difference, but the key thing about that, there's an attraction there to the differences. And guess what? Later on in a relationship, when it starts breaking down and getting bad, you'll use those differences against each other. with such comments as, you ain't nothing like I thought you would be. We just so different. That's not supposed to be a stone to catapult and throw at each other. That's what you're supposed to celebrate. And if you ain't got it, keep on living and being in relationships, you gonna get it. Because you don't have no choice but to grow when you're dealing with relationships and other people. You're gonna grow to, you either gonna grow to a point of knowing what to do or what not to do. Number 8, don't let things build up between you. This is how you keep these relationships intimate. Intimacy can get involved and keep it close. Communication is the key. I know we hear that cliché, but communication is the key. But that communication got to get broke down just the way I'm breaking it down to you right here. All the way rock gut with self and then the other person. Knowing how to deal with a problem, not want to, if this person offended me, then, you know, knowing how to keep it going. Keep it on going. Like I said in the last, going to get into a relationship in a difficult situation and keeping it going. It's about keeping it going. Yes, it's some good stuff right here, y'all. It says, tell your partner what bothers you. Don't expect your partner to read your mind with a crystal ball to know what you want or feel or think. Let me repeat that again. Don't expect your partner to read your mind, to know what you want or feel or think. You have to communicate that to them. They see you hurting, tell them you hurting. Don't get to, well, you should know what I'm, okay, they should know, but it feels more comforting and it feels more assurance there when it's coming from you. If you don't want to talk right now, just tell the innovation, I really don't feel like talking right now. Or even at the point say, you know what, I really don't even feel like having sex right now. Communication instead of, well, later on, got 5 years down the line, all the time I gave you sex and all this here and I didn't even want to do it now. Why don't you tell them then? Now it's a big boulder and you're using it to throw on your partner and cave in everything. And he don't even know, because why? You wanted him to read your mind or her to read your mind. It's about maturity, y'all. It's about being mature. It's about growing up. Number 9, keep your relationship fresh and romantic. Take trips. Examples. Take trips. Go to different places. Have fun. Keep up the romance. Remember, romance brought you guys together. See physical and sexual intimacy as more than having sex. Let me repeat that again. See physical and sexual intimacy as more than just having sex. It's a part of you sharing one another's everything, whole entire being, sharing everything about intimacy, being intimacy. So what? Some people think that intimacy is sex, but it's not, because there's a whole bunch of prostitutes out there. There's a lot of people out there prostituting their body and they're not intimate. Yeah, they in for the feeling and the orgasms and all that stuff feel good, but there's no intimacy there. And you can't get intimate with an orgasm. You get intimacy with somebody else. That makes us a cut above from being a dog and being a human being with reasoning. But that's where sexual perversion comes up in there, because then the sex is more than the person. And guess what happens? Now I can't look at the person as an individual. I look at them as an object. Take part in healthy play to move freely in space together. Free. Together don't mean bondage. Together can mean free. If you operating in your relationship freely, not holding secrets, not throwing bones in the closet and throwing stones at each other. And number 10 is this: give and receive compliments and praises. Show that you appreciate the other person. Now the difference between a compliment and a praise is this here. A compliment is when a person does something for you and you tell them thank you because they done something for you. Now, a praise is not actually appreciating what the person done for you, but you're appreciating the person for who they are or what they can become. Big difference. You know, if I see a kid on the street and I say, "Hey, kiddo, man, I think a praise is this here. I don't even know you, but I think you are a good individual. I think that God created you as a highly intelligent individual, and I see a lot of positivity coming in your camp, and I just see you doing great things, and I'm not going to think no less, and I'm not going to think no more negative of you. I think that you can do it because I just think positive of you, even while you're in the middle of being negative. When you throw out a positive response to an individual that might be living a negative life, that is a praise. And what a praise is a seed that's inside the individual that he can rest upon later on when he's feeling down about himself. Then you done put that seed in that person when you're not around, maybe years later or whatnot, and they tell you, and it comes up in you while they in the middle of their depression, and that seed that you put in them, that's, you know what, somebody told me one time, it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, that I was special and this here, and he saw the best in me. But if I don't plant that praise, and remember that praise is not what they done for you, it's you encouraging them what they are or what they can become. How many kids and how many people will probably not be selling drugs right now if we gave more praises instead of just what you do for me, I got your back. I do for you, I scratch your back, I scratch yours. Give them praises. Speaking encouragement in their life. Speaking encouragement of your relationship. Speaking encouragement of your communication. Speaking encouragement even when there's discouragement, you have a power of your mouth to speak life into your communication, your negativity. You have power to speak against whatever boulder of life that comes against you. Physically, emotionally, mentally, any of that. You do not have to line up to the authority of your mind to believe in something negative that might be in your way at that moment. Yeah, that's good right there. So it says, it is true for sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy occurs when there are positive feelings between the couple. Repeat that. Sexual intimacy occurs when there are positive feelings between the couple, because there are people that have sex and don't have no kind of positive feelings going on up in there. But I got mine and that's it. But I'm talking about where it's positive feelings of caring for the individual and the other person caring for you. That's why you need to wait till you get old, till you're married, to have sex, instead of, because when you do that, when you take a chance on putting your pieces of your life out there in people's hands and being intimate with somebody that didn't have intimacy in their mind with you. And guess what? Now your business is all across the street. It's all in other people's business in their yard. Because why? You shared your intimacy. You wanted to be intimate, but you shared it with the wrong person at the wrong time. And now they'll use your flaws that you was looking for the other person as encouragement for against you as stones. So those are the 10 tips for keeping a healthy closeness. Keeping the balance. Communication skills are keys to building and keeping a healthy relationship balance. Now, I want you to do this scale, and we're about done here. And this scale is right here. Rate yourself. And be rock good honest. Remember I said an honest 0 is better than a fake 10. Rate yourself on skills to building and keeping a healthy, intimate relationship. Woo! Let me repeat that. How would you rate yourself on a scale from 0 to 10? Rate yourself on skills to build and keep, to building and keeping a healthy, intimate relationship. 0 to 10. You did put that in your personal time and examine yourself and see. But this is going to conclude the whole series of communication, 5-part series, and I hope that you enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope God blesses you through it. I hope He gives you enlightenment, encouragement, and I hope to see you again as I make the next one. But may God bless you and keep you in all that you do. Remember, communication is the key. First, how do I communicate with myself personally? And then how can I communicate with the others outside of me is the key. May God bless you. Amen. And keep looking up. In Jesus' name. Bye-bye.